South Korea is facing an unexpected diplomatic issue due to Taiwan. Taiwan will remove Korea from official documents and call it South Korea instead. At the same time, feelings of resistance are rising within Taiwan. Today, let's take a closer look at this issue. Let's get right into it. First, let's see how the situation has developed. In 2025, Taiwan objected to South Korea's electronic entry declaration system, stating that it listed Taiwan as China-Taiwan. The Taiwanese Ministry of Foreign Affairs said Taiwan is a sovereign, independent nation, not subordinate to China. They criticized South Korea, calling the designation a clear mistake that could cause unnecessary difficulties and emotional harm to Taiwanese citizens during entry. This was really sudden. It's not like our country suddenly changed it to China-Taiwan. Since 2004, South Korea has been using China-Taiwan when referring to Taiwan. Previously, there were no official protests, but now protests have begun. Therefore, our Ministry of Foreign Affairs suspects Taiwan's objection may have deeper reasons. And as time passed, in March 2026, Taiwan announced that their request had been properly met and that they would also use the name South Korea instead of Korea on their electronic entry forms. Taiwan's foreign minister stated that he believes this will be effective. Taiwan continued to insist on their position. They argue that it's unfair for China-Taiwan to be displayed as the departure and destination option on the electronic entry form. In fact, there are countries like the United States and Japan that list Taiwan as Taiwan on immigration forms and visas. Korea also tried to be considerate by labeling it as China-Taiwan, right? The reason for this is that, in cases like Hong Kong or Macau, Korea has labeled them as China PR Hong Kong or similar. China PR stands for People's Republic of China, but for Taiwan, Korea leaves out the PR and labels it as China-Taiwan to keep a check on the One China policy, but still tries to be considerate of its relationship with Taiwan. As I mentioned earlier, Korea has maintained this practice since 2004, so when Taiwan suddenly demanded a name change, Korea was understandably taken aback. There was also a strange atmosphere in Taiwan. Chen Min-ki, the deputy minister of Taiwan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, suddenly brought up trade relations, saying that Korea has a large trade surplus with Taiwan, and that unfriendly actions in this situation are not a good move. Some extreme voices in Taiwan even called for strong retaliatory measures against Korea. Some Taiwanese media, trying to stir up more anti-Korean sentiment, argued that Korea should not be labeled as Republic of Korea, but simply as Korea Seoul instead. The Korean Ministry of Foreign Affairs said they are reviewing the matter and will respond based on their existing position, as this is not a new issue. In effect, this seems to be a roundabout way of saying that Korea is rejecting Taiwan's request to use the Taiwan label and will continue to use the China-Taiwan label as it has been doing. In fact, for Korea, there is really no reason to change it. If they do change it, the first country to react would be China, and there's no reason to create unnecessary friction with China. The main point is this conflict isn't limited to Korea and Taiwan. What's crucial is China watching from behind the scenes. This issue may look like a dispute over a single label, but for China, it's a matter of a completely different dimension because the very existence of Taiwan is a territorial issue for the Chinese people. China has long demanded the international community adhere to the One China principle. They maintain that Taiwan is part of China and have strongly opposed any actions by countries that do not recognize this principle. Therefore, the term China-Taiwan used by Korea is seen by China as at least maintaining the minimum acceptable line. Even if it's not completely satisfactory, it means Korea does not recognize Taiwan as a separate country. The problem is that this is where a real dilemma emerges. If Korea accepts Taiwan's request and changes the label to just Taiwan, the situation changes completely. This is likely to be interpreted not as an administrative correction, but as a diplomatic signal. China could see this as an act that shakes the One China principle, and there could be diplomatic pressure or economic disadvantages as a result. In fact, other countries have experienced conflicts with China over similar issues, so this is not a situation to be taken lightly. There's no reason to create unnecessary friction. On the other hand, maintaining the China-Taiwan label as it is now is also a heavy burden. Taiwan is already strongly protesting and has even taken measures like labeling Korea as South Korea in supermarkets. It's unlikely this will end here. The labeling issue could lead to additional reciprocal actions, especially as anti-Korean sentiment rises within Taiwan. The political sector may choose even stronger responses. Right now, the ruling Democratic Progressive Party in Taiwan is in a politically precarious situation, so it's not surprising if they take a hardline stance. In this case, Korea Korea is bound to be troubled. If they choose one side, the other side will strongly protest. In a situation where Korea cannot ignore China, it's difficult to fully accept Taiwan's demands, but it's also not easy to keep provoking Taiwan. In fact, anti-Korean sentiment in Taiwan has been rising. According to a 2018 survey, Korea ranked 4th among the countries Taiwan dislikes the most. According to the Taiwan Public Opinion Foundation, North Korea was 70.9%, the Philippines 52.9%, China 43.9%, and Korea 33.8%. In contrast, there is almost no negative public opinion about Taiwan and Korea, yet Taiwan shows a dislike for Korea. To understand this, we need to look at how this unfolded over time. Let's go back to 1992. In 1992, when Korea established diplomatic relations with China, it severed official diplomatic ties with Taiwan. But what's important here is the process. Many people think Korea abandoned Taiwan first, but the actual sequence was a bit different. When Korea pushed for diplomatic ties with China, the first country to declare a break in relations was not Korea, but Taiwan. Taiwan strongly protested and preemptively declared a break in relations. For Taiwan, Korea was even called a traitor. It was not uncommon to see Taiwan feeling abandoned by Korea, its closest anti-communist ally. During the Cold War, Korea and Taiwan were countries in the same camp militarily. They maintained strong economic and diplomatic ties, viewing each other as strategic partners. In this situation, the moment Korea joined hands with China, diplomatic isolation became a reality for Taiwan. Emotional factors also played a big role here. Historically, Korea had a deep relationship with Taiwan. During the independence movement, Chiang Kai-shek provided direct help. In the Korean War, Taiwan was active and even considered joining. Due to these memories, Korea tended to view Taiwan as a friendly country. However, a completely different narrative was formed within Taiwan. The perception that Korea betrayed them began to spread. The sense that the country they helped abandon them was politicized, causing anti-Korean sentiment to become deeply rooted. Over time, this feeling only grew stronger. Another key point is what attitudes were common in Taiwan at the time. During the Cold War, Taiwan was among Asia's most advanced economies, industrializing rapidly and with higher incomes than Korea. They simply thought of Korea as a country beneath them. Historical and cultural factors contribute as well. Much of Taiwan's population is Han Chinese, with the Weishengrun group especially strongly identifying with mainland China. Against this background, there was a mindset among some that was close to the traditional Sinocentric order, and a perspective developed that regarded Korea as relatively beneath them. However, over time, the situation completely reversed. As Korea grew rapidly, it began to surpass Taiwan in terms of economic scale, military power, and cultural influence. Especially since the 2000s, Korea's international status has risen sharply. This change means more than just a simple reversal of rankings. When a country that once thought it was ahead sees another country surpass it, it's only natural for an emotional response to occur. In this process, the existing feelings of betrayal and issues of pride are stirred up again. That's why anti-Korean sentiment keeps surfacing in Taiwan these days, and this is gradually becoming more extreme. But there's a clear trend in Taiwan of increasing anti-Korean sentiment. Previously, complaints or criticism were mainly online, but now more cases are also happening offline. During the WBC, some stores launched campaigns exploiting anti-Korean sentiment, and a Korean was even pepper sprayed. This shows that hostility is escalating into real harm. During COVID-19, controversy arose when a coronavirus logo was put on the Korean flag. These may seem isolated, but if the trend continues, it could foster unfriendliness toward tourists, discrimination, and even safety issues. Therefore, it seems necessary to block this trend. The government should closely monitor the situation and, if needed, strengthen travel safety advisories or diplomatic responses.